Hi there, Belle. Let's take a look at your new set of essays, okay? This one is about pollution. Let's see what you said. Since the beginning of industrialization, pollution is becoming a major problem in many countries. There are a lot, which are two words, not one word, there are a lot of factors that contribute to pollution. I believe that humans has a lot to answer on this issue. All right, this is awkward. Let's fix it. And also you have a lot. So let's try to also use a variety of vocabulary words instead. So, looking at these two sentences again, there are many factors that contribute to pollution, one of which is human interference or human influence or human activity. That would have also really been nice, okay? In this essay, with two S's, I will be discussing some of the reasons why, without the of, why pollution is becoming extreme, and I will also provide some possible solutions. All right, that's fine. According to research, one of the major contributors, S, of pollution is the fashion industry. This is because there is an increased demand for clothing. All right, you can see that I had to change around quite a few things here. An increased demand for clothing is what this should say. Following trend, what does that mean? Following trends is one of the reasons as why there is a high demand for clothing. Okay, nowadays people on social media such as Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram are making a big impact on the society's shopping behavior. For example, a famous model on Instagram influenced her followers, S, with the latest fashion in her everyday posts. This model wears, S, various kinds of clothes each day to promote a brand or maybe to set a trend. All right, we don't start sentences with and. So, of course, followers would buy clothes that are in fashion because it could give them a sense of importance and self-esteem. Therefore, social media plays an important part in influencing people's, careful with your spelling, buying behavior. What does it have to do with pollution, though, Belle? Okay, I mean, you never explained to us how buying clothes affects pollution. So I don't understand this connection. You basically just told me that it's almost as if you're answering an entirely different essay. It's almost as if you're answering why are people buying clothes today more than ever before. All right, but this has absolutely zero to do with pollution. The second thing that I want to point out your attention to is this. It says the reasons. So here you only talked about fashion. You talked about, our consumerism, but you never talked about any other reasons for pollution. And as I said, you spent a lot of time telling us why people are buying more clothes, but you never explained to us how this contributes to pollution. Okay, does clothing and the whole fashion industry somehow affect pollution? Yeah, of course it does. But you can't just assume that the examiner knows all that. You have to explain in your own words how this is a problem and how it is related to pollution. Okay, so if there is a high demand for clothes, the only possible solution that I could suggest is to lower the demand for it. Influencers, S, on social media should be given policies without the A on promoting products. For example, they should be given a standard and limit on how many items they can model on social media. Also, they should introduce a positive way of utilizing old clothes. In this way, the fashion, ION, industry could help saving the planet, or could help save the planet. Also would have worked. All right, again, it's the same problem. This is just essentially one solution. So it's very underdeveloped, and I understand you're talking about legislation and limiting the influence that people on social media have, but still, like I said, this wasn't appropriately developed. So in conclusion, pollution should be taken seriously. Everyone can contribute in reducing everyone can contribute 2, reducing the problem. This is by taking little steps in controlling the demand for new things. The world will, careful, be a better place if all people take action, because we don't use will in an if clause, and responsibility. All right, so it's a cohesive essay. All right, you've followed the template and you've done some good things here. However, like I said, it's task achievement, which is a problem. You never developed how the fashion industry somehow creates pollution, and you certainly didn't give reasons. You only gave one reason. As well, you gave essentially one solution. Okay, so this would of course affect your task achievement score, so be aware of that. All right, and now let's take a look at the European car sales. The bar chart represents the car sales of 3 brands. Of 3 brands, get rid of the, and then not such as, because that's as if there are other brands. So you just want of 3 brands: Ford, Audi, and BMW, in 9 countries in Europe, which are France. Okay, good. I'm really glad you did that. That was smart, because you know what ends up happening in this bar chart? Everybody always leaves out at least 1 or 2 countries. This way, you can guarantee that they are included. You've mentioned them at least by name. So, good. As seen on the chart, Hungary has the highest sales of cars. It reached, not has reached, because it's 2018, we're now in 2019, so it reached just under 400,000 automobile sales. Get rid of that of. Audi is the most popular car in Hungary. The second country with the highest sales is France. There are about 310,000 car sales, and BMW was the leading car model in France. Next is Germany with just under 300,000 car sales, and BMW as the favorite car of Germans. Then Ireland had roughly 250,000 sales, and Holland with almost the same number of car sales with Ireland. All right, that's a little awkward. Let's keep going and see what you said. However, there are few sales of cars in Belgium with just under 100,000, but Ford is Belgium's favorite car. Overall, BMW is popular in France, Germany, Ireland, and Italy, while Ford comes as the favorite car in the UK, Holland, and Belgium. In Holland, Ford is the most in-demand car, while Audi and Ford are Polish. All right, this doesn't feel like an overview to me, Belle. This is just more detail, because there's a lot of information that really belonged in a detail paragraph. Okay, so it doesn't feel like you have an overview. All right, what you really wrote here is detail. I see a number of concerns. I have a number of concerns with this bar chart. First of all, now, as you probably know, paragraphing is not super important in task 1, but if you can paragraph well, this will only serve you well, okay? So here you were fine, and then there's a lot of disagreement as to where the overview should go. I'm always a huge fan of putting it right after the introduction, partially because it's an overview. It's not a conclusion. Okay, I have other reasons as well, but those are a different story. So, introduction, then your overview. What could a good overview here have been? It could have been that Hungary sold the most cars of all 9 countries, and BMW was the most popular car. Done. That's your overview. Because you look at the highest here, and looking at these figures, at least to my mind, it's BMW, even though one time when I looked at it, it looked like Ford also sold a lot, but I'm pretty confident it's BMW. Okay, so that would be an overview. Then, what did you do here in your paragraphs? You basically talked about the countries down the row and just said what was the most popular car in each country. So that's not entirely how I would have liked to have seen this. Let me give you some advice. So what you could have done in your first detailed paragraph is you could have actually dealt with these figures. So what would I recommend? I would recommend talking about Hungary's total, then France's total. Then a nice thing to do is talk about Belgium and Italy, okay, and say that they were the countries with the fewest car sales. Then look at all the rest of your numbers. You can group them all together, like so. See, because they're all between 200 and 300,000 car sales. So you can just say that the remaining countries all sold between 200,000 and 270,000, if we assume that that's that number is. Okay, then you're done with that paragraph. So in your next detailed paragraph, you can talk about the actual car sales. So you could say that BMW sold over 100,000 cars in 1, 2, 3 countries. Wait, is that 1, 2, 3, 4 countries? Sorry about that. Naming what they are. Then, you could say in the rest they were this. You could also mention Belgium's figure. Then you can talk about Ford in a very similar way, okay? That the most Ford cars were sold in Holland and Hungary with X number. In the remaining countries, they were, whatever, in this range of numbers. And you can do something really short with Audi as well, okay? Where Germany and Hungary had similar Audi sales. France and Poland similar, and the rest of them had smaller numbers for sure. Okay, so that's one way you could do this. It's really about grouping things together rather than, what you did here, which is first we have Hungary, then we have France, then we have Germany, then we have Ireland. Okay, it just feels kind of monotonous when you see it like this. So I want you to get into the mindset of, okay, what are similar figures? What are similar pieces of data? What can I group together? Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I hope that you can try doing this. I'd actually like to see you, when you correct this, try to rewrite it in the way that I recommended. Okay, give it a shot, and let's see what you write in your next set of essays. Okay, good luck.